So today we're going to be talking about customer payments, both the recording of payments as well as the reporting of payments. And as you all know, payments are fundamental to your business, and tracking them accurately and reporting on them accurately is really important. So we're going to be taking a high-level look at handling payments in ClassJuggler. So there's a number of ways to accept payments and report on them in ClassJuggler. So the first thing we want to talk about is actually inputting or recording payments. And there's a number of ways and a number of places we can do this. We can do this from the customer transaction screen, both on the tail end of creating a charge, as well as just inputting a straight payment. There's also inputs on the billing and customer payment screen under your billing main menu, as well as on the Customer Self-Service Center portal, where your customers can log into their own accounts and make payments on their own. We're also going to talk about actually four different reports in ClassJuggler: the Customer Payments Report, the Customer Applied Payments Report, the Customer Unapplied Payments Report, and the Deposit Summary Report. And all of these recording methods as well as reporting methods cover the gamut of handling payments in ClassJuggler. Okay, so the first way we can record payments is right from the customer transaction screen. And to do that, first thing I want to do is go to my customer's main menu. That's going to bring up my customer listing, and I'm going to select a customer that has a balance due, one that I've probably already been working with, and I'm going to choose Sarah from my database. Here we've got Sarah's record, and I'm going to go ahead and go to her customer transaction screen, where we handle all of the accounting side of ClassJuggler for our customers. So here's Sarah's account. We can see some charges, we can see some payments. So the first and easiest way to record a payment for any customer is by clicking on the Input Payment button that you'll find at the bottom of the customer transaction screen. When I click on that, it's going to open up a little payment window, and I've got a variety of options on how I want to record that payment and what type of payment I want to record. Now the first thing I can see is that this customer does have a MasterCard on file, and you'll see a little image of that credit card. If I wanted to use that on-file credit card to make that payment, all I have to do is check the box right next to the card. ClassJuggler is going to fill out most of the form for us. We can change the description of the payment and of course enter in whatever amount we want to enter, and then record that payment. When we record the payment, we're going to click one of two buttons: either Save with no receipt or Save with a receipt. So if I want to generate either a printed or emailed receipt, the first thing I want to do is make sure I click on Save with Receipt. And then it's going to give me an option to choose: do I want to do a printed receipt or email that receipt directly to that parent's account, email address, assuming I've got that on file. Now if I heard from this customer that their MasterCard is over their limit, or they just wanted to make a payment with a different credit card, well, I can uncheck that I want to make a payment with that card, and then from my payment type drop down, choose a different type of card, maybe American Express, Discover, or maybe a Visa card. And when I do that, all I need to do is again fill out the name, and the other pertinent information such as the card number, the expiration date, and then choose again whether I'm going to save this with a receipt or without a receipt. Now if I didn't want to use a credit card at all for a payment, let's say we're taking a payment for maybe a small item, whether that's cash or check, I can also choose cash or check from the payment type drop down. And again, that's going to modify the different fields that we see in the payment window to match the type of payment we're recording. So let's say we're going to record a check payment. First thing I want to do is make sure I put in the check number that is on that check the customer paid me with. Make sure I put in the date I received this. Let's say I received this yesterday. I want to make sure that that is recorded accurately as to when I was paid. And come up with some description, maybe dance supplies or dance shoes. That's even more relevant. And put in my amount. Just call this payment for dance shoes. And again, save with or without receipt. Let's just save it with no receipt for simplicity. And once I've recorded that, you'll see it's backdated that transaction, so it falls above some of the charges that are sitting on the account, which is fine. It still works into the overall balance for that customer's account. So here's the payment that we received, and I can always click on that payment if I needed to generate a receipt, whether that's printed or emailed again for that payment. Even if it was a payment recorded months or even years ago, you can always go back and generate receipts via email or printed receipts for those transactions, which is a nice feature. The other way we can record a payment is on the tail end of generating a new charge on someone's account. So I'm going to click on my input charge button here at the bottom of the transaction screen. And let's say I'm going to generate a charge for a late fee. This customer happened to be late on their account. And I have a default late fee set up as a $10 fee. Well, let's say I'm interacting with the customer at the same time I'm generating this late fee. I can save this transaction, this charge, and generate that on the account, or I could save and make a payment, which essentially just gives me a shortcut to clicking on the input payment right after I've generated a charge. So let's go ahead and do that. So I'm going to say save and make payment. You'll see it saved that charge. Now it takes me right into the input payment window, the same one we were just looking at. So let's say I took a cash payment for that late fee. I'll put my receipt book number in here, and the $10 is already populated. I'll go ahead and save that again with no receipt. So that's just a shortcut way of recording a payment at the tail end of generating a charge. So we've looked at everything that we can do from a customer screen standpoint. Now let's talk about some of the other ways we can input payments in ClassJuggler. One of the best ways to do multiple payments at one time for different customers is by using the customer payment screen that we'll find under our billing main menu. So I'm going to click on my billing main menu, and that's going to take me into all of the different billing steps and billing tools that we have for running our monthly billing cycles. So if we look at the menu on the left, you'll see we're already on the customer payment screen. Now this particular demo account also has merchant processing, so you'll see a second tab on the screen. One's called manual customer payments and the other is called batch payment processing. If you don't currently do merchant processing, you won't see the batch payment processing tab. So using the manual customer payments tab on the customer payment screen, you'll see a list of customers generally filtered by people that have a balance due. And again, I can change that by clicking on my filters in the dark area at the top of the listing. So I can use it to search for customers by last name, customer ID number. I can change how they're sorted, look at customers based on their payment group, what category I've got them assigned to, what their status is, as well as if they have a balance due or an on-file credit card or gave me payment permission. So let's say I'm going to uncheck this on-file cards because I want to see everybody that has a balance due. So I'm going to only leave the checkbox for balance due. And I'm going to click on my Save My Display Settings button down in the lower right so that ClassJuggler always remembers those are the filters that I want when I visit this screen. So as you see now, we've got a much longer list of customers. This is everybody that has a balance due in my database, up to 100 per page. I'm going to make this a little smaller so we can see this during the demo. I'm going to just show 20 per page. Let me save those display settings. Alright, this is a little bit more manageable. And then I can use my paging buttons to scroll through these customers on the listing. So the beauty of this screen is if you're still accepting check payments, even if you're doing credit card payments as well, this is a great place to come and enter in a stack of checks that you might have received throughout any typical business day. And to do that, all I have to do is click on the parent's name. When I click on that, you'll notice it opens the same record payment window that we see on the customer transaction screen. It's the exact same window, it just is in a convenient place with a customer listing. So here again, I can choose how I want to receive that payment, check, cash, credit card, anything I want. And just by clicking on names, you'll see how quick this can be. So if I had a stack of checks, and I've got those names, all I have to do is search for the last name. Let's just go ahead and click on a couple customer names and start doing recordings. So we'll do a check here. You'll notice ClassJuggler is filling out the full balance due by default for us. Now if it's not the full balance due that they're writing on that check, we can override that with whatever amount we want. I'm going to save that with no receipt. That's going to reduce that customer's balance due, but it's not going to remove them from the list because I paid less than their total balance due. So let's do Sheena Bennett. I'm going to do her check that she paid us. I'm going to do the full $50. Save that. Now she drops off of our list. I can do another customer here just for an example. And their check number. Save that one. And so forth. So as I'm going through my stack of checks, I'm eliminating everything that I've collected throughout the day and recording all of those payments. Now if you're receiving credit card payments and you've got individual ones, you can simply click on those customers in the same screen as well, and you'll notice if they've got a card on file, it will already be checked. Everything will be filled out, including the amount. All I need to do is hit save with no receipt to complete that. So any of these that show a credit card column or a credit card number in the on-file credit debit card column, I know I can bill them simply or collect a payment from them by clicking on their name and processing that payment. Now an even easier way to do this is by using the Batch Payment Processing tab that you'll see on the same screen. Now when I click on that tab, it takes me to a similar looking screen, but what ClassJuggler's done is it set the 3 key filters that are a rule for our PCI compliance on collecting payments from customers that have on-file cards. So you'll see it is filtering by customers that have a balance due, an on-file credit card, and also gave payment permission, and that's the key. They have to have given us permission in order for us to collect those payments on a periodic basis without their direct permission each and every time. So this screen has already filtered all of the customers that have a balance due, have a card on file, and gave us payment permission. So you'll see out of all of our customers, we have 19 customers that match that set of criteria. And the beauty of this screen is all I've got to do is click one button and ClassJuggler will go through each and every one of these payments in real time, so I can watch ones that succeed. I can even see the ones that fail. And then at the end of the process, ClassJuggler will give me a full report of each and every payment that was received or not received successfully, and then allow me to go back and either send an email to all of the failed payments. Use one of my email templates, for example, to say, please contact us to arrange for an alternate payment because your card was declined for some reason or another. And it also allows me to send out batch receipts for all the successful payments. And all we do to do that is click on one of our history items at the bottom of the screen after we've completed running that batch payment collection process. So I'm not going to actually go into that in detail again because these aren't real credit cards, but it's just a super fast process, and it's one of the biggest time savers in a billing cycle for collecting payments from your customers. So that's a look at the customer payment screen under our billing main menu, either doing manual customer payments by clicking on the manual customer payments tab, which allows me to do cash, check, and credit card payments very quickly just by clicking on the customer's name, or the batch payment processing for credit and debit cards on file, which allows me to batch in any number of balances due on customer accounts that have provided us with a credit card. So that could be one account, it could be 1,000 accounts. Now let's talk about the last way that a payment can be recorded in ClassJuggler, and this is actually done from your customer standpoint. So if you're using the Customer Self-Service Center, the customer portal as it's also known, your customers can actually go on and make payments themselves. Well, let's take a look at that. So a customer is just going to sign in by putting their email address and their password. And once they sign in, they can go directly to their My Account screen which allows them to make a payment themselves. So there's a number of ways they can reach this screen. They can go to the My Account main menu and then click on the Make a Payment button down below here, which will take them to the Make a Payment screen. Or they can click on the Make a Payment tab up top here, which again will take them to the Make a Payment screen. Or when they sign in, for example, we can also look on the right side of the screen and see that there's a little balance due bubble that'll float around on each of the screens that they're visiting. And I can also click on that, and that's also a shortcut to the Make a Payment screen. Now obviously a customer of yours cannot make a cash or a check payment through the Customer Self-Service Center portal, but they can make a credit or debit card payment. And again, because this customer has a MasterCard on file, it's showing that as their default payment method. All they need to do in here is come in, type in their payment amount, if they want to pay the full balance, and submit that payment. And again, for flexibility, we also want to allow them to make a payment with a different card. Again, if they know this card's over the limit, or maybe it's been canceled or reported stolen, all I have to do is click on this radio button up top here that says Make a Payment with a different card. And when I do that, it presents me with a full form where I can put in the card number, the card type, and type in all the information about the payee. Because this could, in some circumstances, be a different person than the account holder. It could be a spouse, could be a divorce-separated spouse, it could be a grandparent or a caregiver or some other family member. And again, recording a payment from a customer standpoint flows right back into the full ClassJuggler administrative side, so you'll see that in real time, as well as you can get email alerts when those payments are made. So I'm going to go ahead and close out this window and go back to ClassJuggler from an administrative viewpoint. And now let's talk about all of the different ways we can get information about payments that have been recorded in our system. And this is all under our reporting menu. So I'm going to go to our reports main menu. And there's 4 key reports that we can run, and you should be running on either a daily, weekly, or monthly basis to keep track of customer payments that you're receiving. So the first of those is the Customer Payments Report. And when I select that report, it takes me to a screen where I have a number of filters and options for how I want to run this report. So I can run it by all payments, or I can choose to focus on certain types of payments. I can put in the period of time that I want to report on and select a variety of other options. Again, we're not going to go into a lot of detail on this. I would recommend visiting the online help guide or looking at some of our other videos where we're talking about the details of running just one of these reports and all of the detailed information that we can provide. The Customer Payments Report in general is designed to give you either a listing or by date, or a listing by customer name, showing you all the payments in the period that you selected with the filters you selected. So I just ran a quick one all the way back from April of this year. And this is by customer name, so you'll see everything's grouped by the name of the customer. And I can have different payment types. I'll also get the totals and subtotals as I scroll through this long report of 46 pages. So this is a great report for seeing detailed information about payments received, and it's great for debugging deposit issues where you might have a mismatch or the totals aren't lining up exactly like you see. It also gives you an idea of what type of income you're receiving in a period of time. So I could run this for a 1-month period and see exactly how much I received in payments. So that's the Customer Payment Report. And again, there's a lot of options. It's very flexible and provides a tremendous amount of information. The next report we want to look at that's related to payments is called the Customer Applied Payments Report. Now this is a little bit of a different report. The Customer Payments Report we just looked at is really designed for someone who's running a cash-based accounting system for their business, meaning I want to know exactly what I received when I received it. Applied payments are relative to more of an accrual type accounting. So applied payments are looking at when those payments are being considered earned by when they are being paired with a corresponding charge. So the view of the report for applied payments is going to come back and look a little bit different than what you see in the Customer Payments Report. So I'm going to just run a quick report again all the way back to April of this year, and we'll just take a look at what that looks like. So this report might be a little small on your screen, but what it's showing us is a particular charge that's been placed on that customer's account and the corresponding payment that was paid against that charge, and exactly how much of that payment was applied to that charge. So it might not be the full amount, and you may see the same payment multiple times if it was split across multiple charges. So again, for those doing accrual-based accounting, this will show you how those payments are being split and applied across charges from an accounting standpoint. And again, I encourage you to look at the online help guide for much more detail and deeper explanations of how these reports work, or visit some of the other videos we have on our YouTube channel for training on specific reports. The next report we want to talk about is the unapplied payments and credits. This comes into play when you're talking about partial payments and split payments. If a payment was made, in most cases a prepayment was made where the full amount has not been applied yet, that's when those payments will show up on this report. So this is good to run if you are running the manually applied accounting system, to make sure that you're being diligent and applying all of those payments on customers' accounts on a month-to-month basis. The very last report we want to talk about, which is a fairly new report in ClassJuggler, is the deposit summary report. And this is a really powerful report for reconciling to your checking account, your merchant account if you're accepting credit and debit cards, as well as using consolidated entry methods in your accounting software like QuickBooks or Peachtree Accounting or one of the other accounting systems out there. What the deposit summary report allows you to do, if I run this on its simplest method, and we'll run this for, let's go back to April, is give us a snapshot in time of the income that we've received. So here's a snapshot of the month of April 2016 for my sample company, and I can see the income broken up by payment type. So I see Amex as the first one alphabetically. I have 4 payments, 0 refunds. I get the amounts, the refund amounts, as well as the net deposit amount. And as you can see, this is great for reconciling back to your bank statement, because it'll show you exactly what you've been receiving from a payment standpoint, so you can easily reconcile and ensure that your everything balances out at the end of the month. And that's the deposit summary report. So I hope you've learned a little bit about all the different ways you can record payments in ClassJuggler, as well as all of the different ways you can report on payments in ClassJuggler. So again, we talked about recording payments by using the customer transaction screen, the billing and customer payment screen under our billing menu, as well as the customer self-service center portal for parents recording payments on their own. We talked about 4 different reporting methods: the customer payment report, the customer applied payments report, the customer unapplied payments report, as well as finally talking about the deposit summary report. And using all of these tools together will make sure that you keep track of all of the income for your business and have the best reporting tools and reporting information for integrating with your accounting software and your bookkeeping.